Yes, indeed. It is Winning Women's Wednesday.
Yes, it is. And we have a fun announcement.
Yes, we have an announcement.
We are going to have a new guest host permanently, the amazing MetroTex president herself. We are so fancy up here, Ashely Gentry.
Thank you so much, and I am not fancy. You're happy I'm wearing pants under this table.
There's a blazer.
There is a blazer.
There is a blazer.
So
There's a blazer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we decided we needed to gang up on Rick, and we had so much fun last week, and we are just going to take over our little section of the world. We're like the View of Dallas real estate.
Oh, are we the View, though?
Well, not the View. Okay, I don't want to be the View. Is there another one? Is there another
Well,
show?
I will certainly skew the View.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to be our form of the View.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll be
Okay.
the View as if you put the contact lens in the wrong eye.
Okay.
I like it. I like it. So here we are. We're going to be here every Wednesday for your viewing pleasure to laugh and have fun and hopefully learn a few things. So first of all, what's our format? What are we talking about these days?
Well, I always loved the idea of kind of branching off to like what Wayne and I would do. And it's this all came out of the fact whenever you were on with me and Wayne, I loved having two coaches there.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like that'd be like having two therapists in the room.
For sure.
Especially since I'm sure you guys can attest. There's no brochure, there's no map, there's no
Absolutely
instruction
not.
booklet to being an entrepreneur.
Not at all.
I always joke like, my feed is hustle porn, 24/7, and that does come in handy. And there is a certain aspect of it. It comes true over time. If you, like I would tell my guys, if you don't suck and you don't quit, you'll be all right.
That's right.
And the other side is I have no idea what it's like from the female perspective.
Love it.
And I half jokingly, actually, it's true. Both of my ex-wives would tell you I don't know shit about women.
I would concur. I mean, Rick,
agree.
we're sitting here today.
We've been here.
And you have an extra co-host for that very reason.
Yes,
You
exactly.
do.
What if we talked about just like taking off all the masks and everything else, what it's like being a female entrepreneur and maybe some of the pitfalls and how then we can turn those pitfalls into things that catapult us into success.
And that's perfect. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why we're here every Wednesday. So
Yes, amen.
Join us, watch, and if you want to be a guest, we'd love to have you.
Please reach out.
Yeah, we do have a bunch of good, not only edifying, but there's a couple of guests that we have lined up that are like, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
that's
Their stories are so impactful.
Yes. And that's what we want. We want to make an impact, and we want to help you guys grow a little bit. So
And I think being very vulnerable and transparent on this, because you watch a lot of stuff. There's a lot of coaches out there. There's a lot of shows and everything else that are very uplifting. But it's like, oh gosh, when you're in the depths of despair, it's like,
that's the reality.
We're all on fire. And sometimes you go, that is not attainable for me to be like that human being and to embody that. And it is so much, just an effort like we've talked about on Fire Drill Friday, which was just take small actionable,
Yes.
steps and everything else. And that's why we're here today, because I can tell you, my hair is still on fire, but I liken myself to be a successful entrepreneur if I'm sitting here today as the youngest female president of MetroTex Association of Realtors, the 5th largest association in the country. And again, some people would say, well, that's not my goal. Well, I set it out to be a goal, 5-6 years ago.
Yes.
And here I am. And so I achieved that. And that was because I took action and I knew what that was.
And if that's not your goal, you can still learn from Ashely because of the
100%.
action steps that she took.
Yeah.
Yeah, any
Absolutely.
goal that's achieved is able to be transmitted and
lesson.
taught. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you can break it down. And what you're saying about, when we talked last time, on Friday, where it was like about action, and the idea of small, consistent action, Kaizen.
Yeah.
I love those little Japanese phrases where they have a word. It's like the opposite of German. Like Germans have a compound word for like Schadenfreude, where it's like Schadenfreude is the deriving pleasure from the misfortune of others.
Oh, I'm unfortunately.
There's a lot to say about that.
Yes,
Sorry.
which ironically,
I am not a perfect human.
Oh no! There's a reason why I know what that word is and what it means.
Yes.
But I was gonna say the flip side of that coin is the small, consistent action, and then wabi sabi, which is another phrase that means perfectly
was a
imperfect.
sauce.
I thought that was like
Those
a
with the
really
green sauce.
spicy.
No, that's
green-
wasabi.
Okay, got it.
No,
Yeah.
wabi sabi is the concept of like.
Is that like short stack? Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
got it. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Like so if you had like a piece of pottery or something like that was cracked, and then you fill in the crack with gold,
Yep.
that it's better now because of its imperfection.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look
I'm
at
wabi
that.
sabi.
Follow for more
Wow.
for more international
I like
tips.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does the oracle have for us today?
That's a good question. So
Yeah.
talk amongst yourselves.
Suddenly we have nothing to say.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no, we totally do. We
Suddenly the tank is empty.
have so many things to say. Just a few minutes ago, I had to tell Rick, I need you to turn on the air in my nice way of saying, oh, I'm sweating through my jacket. And then Rick was like, oh, do you need the air turned on? Yes, it's because I'm pretty sure I'm going through perimenopause, which is another thing that
Such is the joy of a woman. And then you're an entrepreneur and a mother and a wife
and all of these things. And you're like, okay, cool. I've got all these things lined up. And then your body's like, but wait, there's more.
So wait, I thought that was like some like for a, like a woman my age.
No,
No, it
perimenopause
starts
is the
before.
gift that you're given. It's premenopause.
Yes.
So you
Which
get to.
no one told me about
No,
that.
I just learned this a
like
couple
is this
years ago.
new? Did it just sneak up? Like
Or is this what we're sitting? I don't know. But it can be like a 5 to 7 year period
Yeah.
of quite literally going through all of these hormonal changes that
Yes.
are then preparing you
Yes.
to go through menopause.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
yes.
Thank you. That's what I say.
It's pretty horrific. It's pretty horrific. Like you'll all of a sudden just start crying for no reason.
Oh, and I don't
I'm
like
not-
to cry.
I'm not a crier.
No.
And I've cried a lot lately for no
Have you?
reason. Yeah.
Well, see, crying, normally when I cry, that's my husband's signal or anybody else's signal to run the other direction.
Absolutely.
Because that means I am so mad
There's
that
about
tears,
violence is about to
Yes.
occur.
violence is about to happen because I can no longer suppress my reactions and have emotional intelligence. So,
Yes.
and then that's why I wear turtlenecks a lot when I'm in the boardroom because I don't want anybody to see.
Oh, do you
my
get flush?
I get real flush because I have this nice alabaster skin that likes to tell on me all the time. So I wear turtlenecks even in the summer, and then my ears, and I'll cover my ears because they'll get fire engine red when I'm real pissed at somebody.
Which just makes you angrier because you're
Because now
showing
I
your
know
feelings.
I'm showing it.
Yes,
and
yes.
everything's happening. So yes, welcome to being a woman.
Wow.
It's the best.
Well, so like I'm not a crier either.
Yeah.
And there are but there are certain things that'll get me like I'm like a 7-year-old girl where like
Puppies? No.
the idea of puppies might, now of course, yes, like when my dog died, yeah. I still have,
Yeah.
and it's like, here, I'll tell him myself, like the only thing that I still have, if I bring it into the world of recovery or whatever, the only thing that that I have feelings of guilty for, is when my schnauzer that was 16, I had to put it to sleep. I couldn't stay in the room and I left. I ran out and I left. And it's like, I still feel bad about that. All the horrendous things that I've done in my life. It's like,
You put those in the proper boxes.
The donut
They're
doesn't
good.
even register. But Lord Byron, I will forever feel
Lord
guilty.
Byron.
I will forever feel guilty about that. And there's no
Nothing you can do.
Nope. There's
Okay.
no taking
Got
it
it.
back.
I won't try to
However,
fix it.
I won't necessarily cry.
But that's hard for so many people.
Now there is, and this is one of the things like with my page monster, I'm like, what is this? So, like if you catch me watching Star Trek 2,
Yeah.
you better fast forward past the part where Mr. Spock dies.
Oh.
Aw.
Because it's like, I don't know why, but it's like if it's in a movie or something like that where, it's just,
It's ridiculous in a movie, which is not even real. And I think that's almost like therapy because you're releasing this internal trauma that
Yes.
it's triggering.
Yes.
And you don't really have to pin it on anything.
No, I'm just like, it's the movie like
Yeah.
Armageddon. I don't have daddy issues. It's absolutely fine. I mean, Bruce Willis, Liv Tyler, like it's not a big deal. And I'm just, yeah, the whole time.
oh,
It's
when he
awful.
sacrifices himself at the
Yes.
end. Spoilers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ben Affleck can go home and be her husband and,
That's
sit there.
right.
And I'm going to start crying now. And you're just like, that was
So
selfless.
tragic.
It was so tragic. I know.
Why were they all up there like that anyway? Made no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to watch it again.
It's big dumb summer movie.
And Bruce Willis, I mean, now that just takes on a whole new.
Oh God!
Bruce
Let's watch it
Willis.
again and see. Let's watch it while we're doing this and see what happens.
We'll have no listeners.
Which I do love. Okay, so like,
But hold on a second. To that point, like, there's people that like watch people play video games
That's
on
true.
Twitch.
That is true.
So we could do
That's
something
true.
else for like
where we're just crying
entrepreneurs.
at we'll just do like a reel, or we'll make a
of us watching sad points in movies.
No. We'll do our own list and we'll make a cut. I mean, I do have video equipment.
You do? You might.
Know about a thing or two. We could edit together like a solid 10 minutes where all we do is just cry.
Well, and you know what we could see is how broken we truly are as humans, because like
who cries
I'll
at
cry,
what?
you won't, and be like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you?
Yes,
Yes,
and then
I love
Mr.
that.
Spock will die,
And
then
I'm not going to shed a tear.
I won't.
I'm just like busted up.
Oh,
Okay.
this sounds fun. I like
it.
this.
All right.
Very
well,
healthy.
Next time. All right. So what does the Oracle say for us to actually talk about?
As we were talking earlier, I think maybe off air, where it's like, don't know what to do when things are going well. Because I'm really good at, and I feel
sabotage.
Well, and I feel useful if I'm putting out fires.
Yes.
You know?
That's good. Yes,
So
absolutely.
the topic will be success.
Oh.
Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. And that's Albert Schweitzer. And then it says, what does success personally mean for you? And what is one step you could take towards it?
You know, so flipping that for a little bit, because I get in these really kitschy moments where I'm like, oh, that's so easy to sit there and illustrate or whatever else. But I heard somebody say that gratitude and anxiety are in the same space of your brain. And so if you're grateful, you can't be anxious.
Yes,
Yes.
I've heard that.
That was something for me that's the same kind of thing where it's like, okay, if I can flip it, then if I can be grateful, then that anxiety, that self-sabotage nature, that just feeling anxious about everything else isn't going to occur. And so instead of like, oh, I want to be happy, and everything else, it's that gratitude. I have so much still to be grateful for, even in the midst of my hair being on fire, which is every day.
Absolutely.
Well, it's interesting that you have, I don't necessarily say, well, you have positioned yourself to be in a place where your hair will likely be on fire most days.
And I don't know if I can operate outside of that.
Well, that was going to be my thing.
Yeah.
Where and
but it brings you joy,
it does bring me joy.
which makes you feel successful.
It does.
yes,
Look at that circle.
yes,
circle.
and
Full circle.
it is one of those things, because we often the topic will be broached about work-life balance or
There
whatever.
is no balance.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness.
It looks different for everyone, and what it looks like for you is okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's totally okay. I am a big proponent in my coaching world, work-life balance, and not mom guilt. Like, you can love your job. Like, somewhere in our society, we talk about work-life balance because you have to balance all of these things and do all of these things. And certainly you have to honor your responsibilities.
Sure.
But you can be a working mom and an entrepreneur, and you can love your job and love what you do for a living and not love taking cupcakes to the third grade classroom. And that is okay. And your kids will survive. They will not need therapy. They will, but for something completely different.
You'll sabotage them in another way.
Don't worry. You're going to get those bills. And it's okay. And as a mother of two incredibly amazing women, it also teaches them something.
Yep.
And I think that's been the biggest eye-opener for me, is now that I have an adult daughter, is the things that she doesn't feel responsible for.
Love it.
And there you go.
Well, and to that, as far as like the work-life balance and like the momming and all of that stuff, obviously,
You don't have a thumb on that, Rick?
no, I don't really have the pulse of, I don't really
Got
have the
it.
heartbeat of that down.
Got
But I
it.
will say this.
We can loan you some children.
I will not loan Rick my 10-year-old child. I'm just going to put that out there now.
Yeah.
Now, she can come up here and hang out with Rick.
Yeah, it would be like,
But I'm not going to put her well-being in Rick's hands.
Yeah, that'd be one of those things where
That
it's
would
like,
be therapy.
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I forgot there was a kid.
Exactly. Yes.
Or like, wait a minute, what? There was something in the car.
So I do have a story.
Okay.
I totally, when I had my first child, so excited, went to Olive Garden to show her off to all my friends.
Olive Garden.
Olive Garden.
High
Unlimited
rolling.
breadsticks.
Yes, we were not high rolling then. Lunch is over. There was no alcohol. Put her in the car, bebopping along, and I hear this thump. And I really don't pay attention to it, and I just keep going.
You didn't lock her in the car
I
seat?
didn't lock her in the car seat. She was face down on the floor.
It's so funny now. In the moment, it would have been horrific.
I was definitely horrified and panicking and certain I had killed her, but she was fine.
Yeah.
When what's funny is like my initial thought was like car seat.
Yeah.
Like
yes.
in the 70s, I can remember like
Right.
Oh, no, you carried him. That's my mom tells me all the time. She like drove the car with her knee, feeding me a bottle.
Smoking a
Oldsmobile,
cigarette.
Yeah.
Oldsmobile bench
Yeah.
seat,
Yeah.
no
Yes,
seat belt.
yes.
Granddad takes a turn. Like, man, I'm flying. I'm in
Yes.
But that is a really good illustration that in that moment you thought the world had ended because you had killed your baby, but outside of it, she was absolutely fine. And so,
Except for all the crumbs on her face.
yeah,
from the
that's
floorboard.
fine. She's saving
was
it for later. She's
horrifying.
saving it for later. But then how many times do we think something happens and it is the ending of the world as we know it, like it is catastrophic, it's going to change the trajectory of the rest of my life, and then like 3 hours later,
You don't even remember.
like that wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that
Oh,
bad.
well, and to that, you were saying like, oh, third grade cupcakes or whatever. It's like, the funny thing is, I don't remember shit from any of the thing that I do remember about my mom. So I was a genre nerd my whole entire life. My mom took me to one movie my entire life. And it was Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
Nice.
But you remember it.
I will remember it forever.
Yeah.
And the irony is, if she would have done more of that, like the other, like I cared about her, whether or not she would have participated in. And then the other thing
didn't
is,
care
it's
about
like,
the cupcakes.
No.
Yes.
And the other
Yes.
thing is, what I think a lot of parents forget is, kids like, again, what do you remember from third grade that did or
Exactly.
didn't happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we have a skewed, like a skewed version in our head of what may or may not be important, or
Because we're not doing it for us and we're not doing it for the kids. We're doing it for the perception.
Whoever
that
the
we're a good
scorekeeper
mom.
is.
Yeah, whoever that scorekeeper is.
Which
Absolutely.
is still real life today.
It is.
Where we make so many decisions in our personal and professional lives.
Absolutely.
Which is also why I don't have a lot of friends.
It's hard.
Well, I have some friends, but I don't
your
have a lot of.
friend.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. That's why we're here now. But I don't have a lot of, like, I never sought out that group of friends when Alex was a baby and growing up and everything else, because she wasn't in daycare. She wasn't in these things. She didn't
you
want to do
homeschooled.
sports. She's now she's been homeschooled her whole life. So it wasn't like forced interaction. But problem was that I knew myself. I knew I wasn't the PTA mom. I knew I wasn't all those things. My mom was, but I knew I wasn't the PTA mom. And so for me, it was like, this is not going to work, because what fills your cup or what drives you every single day is not what drives me. And it's not like, my daughter's my everything. And anybody that knows me is like, that's the most humanizing thing to see you with Alex, because you can just see that is your soul. But I've just learned, and probably it's therapeutic for me to understand that I look at her and I go, what's important to her? And that's really what I want to emphasize. We were just talking about offline about how Alex is I'm an extrovert that sometimes just doesn't want to be around people. But that's for different reasons. But she is an introverted extrovert. So she's got to have her battery recharged. Like, it starts getting depleted. It's going to wreck her world, all of these other things. And so when they're little, you really have to be paying attention to that. And so anytime our schedule, if she's got something where she has to be on all day, then I know the next day we call her Bob, because it's bestest of the best. So that's her nickname is Bob. And we say, okay, Bob's going to have a lazy day. And that means she stays in her bed. She gets food in there. She's watching her shows. She's doing whatever. She needs to recharge that battery so then she can be at the optimum. I'm not necessarily like that. If I lay in bed all day, I'm probably going to get depressed, and the next day is going to be even worse. So, but that's important to her.
And to your point, that means your work-life balance looks different from mine and looks different from yours.
Yes.
And all three are okay.
they're all valid.
They're all valid. And and as long as we're in happy, healthy relationships, then that's okay.
Or not.
Or not.
Look, Rick, winning Women's Wednesday is a very healthy relationship for you.
That is true.
it is.
Yes.
This is karmically speaking, this is really good for
This
me.
show may last longer than your marriages.
Greater than zero chance.
Yeah, but no, and I think that's really, again, healthy to find those outlets or to find those environments that are going to help cultivate a really healthy mindset. And I don't think we put enough emphasis on that. You can get a pamphlet, you can watch a YouTube video, you can do a coaching program. Like, all those things are really good. They're tactics and they're tools. But until you really focus on that mindset to kind of shift it so everything else comes into focus, I think that's where people really struggle. You can be successful, but is it going to be only for a moment, because it's not sustainable the way you're programmed currently?
And what does successful look like to you?
Sure.
And
Yep.
that goes back to our question.
Yes.
What does success look like for you?
Well, like when you were talking, last Friday, where it was like you had the one person that you were coaching where success to them, for whatever reason, equaled $100,000 in
6
commission.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in 6 months. Or I'm sure at the beginning it probably wasn't 6 months. But like I said, okay, that's probably externally created as far as the the conditions of success. And I said, like,
Absolutely.
unless you're $98,000 in the hole right now, and they're
Which that's why. Let's
and
talk
they're-
about
yeah,
that.
and
Once upon a time, there was some IRS debt that I needed to get rid of.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of the ex-wives or whatever, that was the gift that kept on giving.
Yeah.
Where like, oh, wife was a 1099.
That's your 90-minute consultations
Yes.
Yeah.
But
with an
you know,
accountant. With an accountant.
but no. This was 12 years
were
ago or whatever.
different
But
consultations.
there would be like these love letters from the IRS saying like, hey, and that joint return, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Turns out that there was $8,800 on this one that didn't
Yeah.
get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in all fairness, but hey, in all fairness, they had to put up with me. So
It
all came out.
It evened out.
Yeah.
But that whole idea of the external scorekeeper and where we're playing somebody else's game and don't even know it, So a lot of that.
Or we're striving for something that doesn't really matter to us.
Correct.
How many times have you ever had a situation where you wanted something, a thing, a goal, a place, whatever, and when you got it, it was just disappointing?
Almost every day.
Well, yeah, and the air goes out of it, and hopefully that everybody, like as you get older, you get wiser,
Yes.
and you sort of age out of some of that.
Sure.
Where like now, my car's paid for, my condo's paid for, but like my car is just beaten to hell because it's my office, and it's like I'm not looking for a car to say something about me.
I think we
Yeah.
should do a tour of your car.
I
Because
don't
you
want
bring
it.
this up all the time, and I'm really curious.
You don't want to.
Because I've never seen what I perceive out on the parking lot.
Oh no, it's just It's just the nice thing is that it's paid for. It's a 2017 Chevy Cruze, which I love.
Okay, that's not horrific.
And
okay.
but my thing is I will literally drive it until it disintegrates around me.
Yes.
And
Are the tags current?
like so now Cruise. Oh yeah. Now,
Okay.
there was a time though where like
Oh, Alan's tags haven't been current since like the day he bought his vehicle. Oh. He just trades
Living-
it in.
But so,
living on
like-
the
Just-
edge.
Yes.
so what's funny is like Cruise keeps me young in that we have this ongoing competition of whose car's shittier. And like I got into his car the other day and I was like, dude, I think the crack in your window is actually bigger than the crack in my window. And it was
Like attracts like, guys. That's
Yes.
that's all I can
Yes.
say there.
water seeks its own level.
Yeah.
But there again, it's like none of that even phases me.
Right.
Sure.
And I would much rather do the work in the business
Yeah.
than to have something that like that to the exterior point of view sees, they would see me as successful.
Yeah.
Well, it's even in our text thread this morning when we were talking about things and
5 a.m.
Yeah. You said you're like, we're just dangerous enough to change the world, and I was like, you know what? That's honestly
Yeah.
what fuels me.
And that's-
because you see that impact when you actually
Yes.
make an impact into a coaching client or
Yes.
into one of your real estate clients or anything else. You walk away. It's not about the dollars, and the dollars are important. Nobody works for free. This isn't
For
charity.
sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I
this is
need to
not a
make a life.
nonprofit.
But for me, I walk away and I go, that's something I can tuck away. And when I'm not feeling as grateful, I
Yes.
can go back to that feeling and go, Ashley, you need to put your big girl bridges on, even if they're bigger than you wish they were, because you should have
Summer
started a
bod.
better
Summer
program
bod.
6 months ago. But
28 days.
28 days.
Bikini Christmas.
Yes, Bikini Christmas. That's
a Hallmark movie for sure.
Yeah, Bikini Christmas. But for me, it's like, no. Do you know what you just did? You did this, and sitting at a closing table or across somebody at the association who maybe is struggling and getting involved, comes to you and says, "I just want to let you know the effort and the support that you've given me the last year really got me through some of the darkest times in my life." Those are the things that I count for as success. And I see it in my 10-year-old kid who covets those type of emotional feelings and that she embodies gratitude all the time. I mean, she is so amazing. And so to see that and wanting to replicate that every single day, those are those drivers. But I'm lucky because I get to look into a gratitude mirror, which is my kid, but at the same time, I also have the support of my husband. So it is a lot easier because I've created this ecosystem that helps keep me balanced in a certain way, where if I start going down this, somebody can redirect.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important too, is to not try to do it on your own. Even if your nuclear family doesn't look the same as the next person's, surround yourself. Rick, you do that all the time. You seek out people that you want to be around and you want to do cool things with.
Yes.
Because that's important to help you succeed and help your mental and physical state.
Well, and to that, it's like I never, obviously, like the kids and family thing or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And that's so I'm
That's
totally,
okay.
I'm totally
And that's
cool with
okay.
that. And now
Some people shouldn't have had kids and family.
Oh yeah. I freely admit that, early on I would have just done damage.
Yeah.
That's all that would have been accomplished. But now having, like y'all saw earlier, most of the crew was here.
Yeah.
It was a full house.
And I'm totally outnumbered now by women. So that is something that my ex-wives would have never seen coming, where it was like, okay, not only is Studio USA ironically like the United Nations of photography.
It really is. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm the only old white guy, within
Good job,
within,
Rick.
within
Well
100
done.
miles. Yeah.
Well done.
So it's like I'm playing against type there.
Yeah.
And that turns out to be like so much more rewarding than my old self, where just the jackass that knew it all.
Yeah, sure.
Without ever doing anything, knew it all.
Yeah.
And like kudos to you guys though, because watching you guys, so like, and I mean this as a compliment to Ashely, where it's like, okay, when I known her for years, but I never was actually, I don't know when it was that I realized that like, oh shit, you're about to be the president of Metrotex.
Yeah.
And then seeing you, and then the other night I'm goofing around on social media or whatever, uploading a reel or whatever the hell I'm doing, and boom, the little notification that y'all were live at Metrotex, and I'm like, oh, I'll jump in here.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
Now I jumped in on a PC with no camera, and so I was just the mute. But then everybody, y'all were talking about leadership and everything, and it's like, to me, it's absolutely a compliment to say to you that it's like you embody all of the because it's like, just to pull the curtain back and to be truthful, it's like what I said, like, oh, Ashley's a ball buster, don't cross her, and she means business, ... She probably lives alone with a box of wine every night or whatever.
That was another life.
Okay, well,
And the nice thing is we get to reinvent ourselves whenever we want.
Yes.
What's the next iteration?
Yeah.
well, but then to find out even further and deeper and wider that it's like, okay, wow, 10-year-old daughter, homeschooled, all of these other things that would. It doesn't necessarily fly in the face of the idea of boss bitch or whatever,
Yeah.
but it certainly isn't advertised as possible, or
No.
that at the very least, yeah, maybe or whatever, you'll do that. You'll start on that when you're 40 and you already have your LLC and you go public, or whatever. And the fact that it's like you managed to do all of that, but then to be able to say like, oh yeah, there was no cookie cutter idea, and everything's different. And then for you too, where it's like you got grown kids gone, and then you're doing so many different, the coaching, the brokerage, and then this, and then it's like, wow, and the fact that your kids are successful, daughter on Broadway, boom, like
So proud of her.
cow, yeah,
Yes.
like holy like holy shit,
Surely I did something right.
Yeah, exactly.
Alan and I were good parents.
yeah. And like
There's
for me,
still therapy,
Well, for me,
but-
like the night, for me, my best thing, like my dogs lived really, really long lives.
Hey.
you
16,
go.
18, and 19. So like for
Yeah.
what? Yeah.
You're doing
So-
something right,
yeah.
man.
So like there, it all went to the dogs.
But you know what?
okay.
Again, going back to everybody's different version of success. And for me, looking at it now and what I've accomplished, and especially when you talk about, I must have done something right. That doesn't mean we're not fallible humans and we've done things that are wrong. And I think that has been like the breaking of the chains for me.
Yeah.
To recognize, especially with the people that I care about the most, to be vulnerable and say, I screwed up. Or like when I make a mistake or my past, like my daughter asked us about things and everything else. I met my husband at a biker bar. I was his bartender. And people are like, are you going to tell your daughter that you were his bartender at a biker bar? I'm like, yeah, why not?
Why not?
Like that's a completely humanizing story.
Yes.
And then there's different things that we talk about where it's like, I'm not going to project the best version of myself because I haven't been the best version of myself for my entire life.
And that creates a standard for your daughter to live up
100%.
to that's not attainable.
It's not attainable. And then when they get old enough to realize that the pedestal that I put my parents on is not actually true, and they
Mom
get
was a
knocked
hypocrite.
off 100%. And so the first people, I might not always apologize to my husband. I could probably do more of that. But I'm the first one to apologize to my daughter and say, you know what, I was wrong, or mommy screwed up, or hey, even the other day, or it was the other day.
Having
it was,
a bad day.
It was yesterday. I was upset. My husband's, my business partner now as well, and so is my mother, which is another complete dichotomy, that you have to deal with. But we were going back and forth, and Alex was in the room just on her iPad, and then a couple minutes later, and I just go, your dad and I are fine, right? And she's like, I know, but you're, and doing this. And I said, it's business, and it gets tense sometimes and everything else. And then 10 minutes later, we're sitting on the sofa with a blanket, all three of us, watching Law & Order Special Victims Unit because that's what we like to binge together. 'Cause
Sweet.
That's real healthy. But we're
Oh,
sitting
gosh, it's
there.
better than Gilmore Girls.
It is.
I'm so over it.
No, 100%. But we're doing that, but I was able to acknowledge in that moment she kind of had to be in an ecosystem of maybe a little bit more intensity or stress between her parents, not between a work environment.
Sure.
And so it's like, hey, so sorry about that. We're going to do better next time. Do you want to watch TV and all cuddle together? You know, and that's just completely reframing that experience for her. To me, that's success.
That's
Well, not
absolutely
only that,
success.
it's one of those things that guaranteed she will look back later and be like, wow, that transparency. Like she might not even be cognizant of the fact that the transparency means something now. It's just that I know that if I looked back and like that was my takeaway, I would be impressed, because even now at 55, there's things where I look back and I'd be like, wow, you know, like I was a weird kid. I wouldn't have known what to do with me. You know what I mean? And there's a lot there that I look back at 55 that maybe at 25 or 35 or whatever would have been problematic in my mind, where now it's like, free pass, whatever.
Oh, I
dude.
have so much more grace for my parents now.
Yes.
Like, I look at things that I was angry about or frustrated about, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that made sense.
Although I do have one question.
Yeah.
Why is it that women love those forensic files? And I both of my ex-wives, and I would call it, oh, we're watching Murder Vision. Okay, awesome.
Okay, so I don't,
Oh.
but my daughter and my husband both do. And I'm convinced they're plotting. I'm like, y'all know if they find my body, everyone's going to know it was you two. I mean, they're just going to look at your phone
You got like the
podcast
little
list
cameras in,
Yeah.
in the potted plant.
Well, there's just, I mean, who else could it be? All you would do is watch Special Victims Unit and these murder podcasts.
Yeah.
That one guy that has the broadcaster voice, I can't think of his name now, and I hear him in the background all the time.
Yeah. When it's Unsolved Mysteries?
Yes.
Oh,
so freaky.
Robert Stack.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can hear my own story being played out all the time.
You know, I think so my daughter likes to watch all of it. I don't necessarily like to watch it anymore. Because as you get older, you realize that all that stuff is real.
Yeah.
And then it can be a really dark place.
Yeah.
But if you ever need something done, or you send me a picture like Mark Koretsky does of somebody he's potentially going to ask out for a date on a dating app and says, find out everything you can. I'm like, I am on it. And so is my 10-year-old daughter, because we will,
that's the
you know,
best.
but I think our brains are wired different though at the same time, man. And that's what,
Now, I can go down a rabbit hole of investigation. I don't
Yes.
want to see the murder or any of that. But now, to your point, yes, I can get all of the information in just a matter of moments.
Yeah, we got you, boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because maybe it was like my nature of escapism, or like anywhere but here. You
Yeah.
know, so like that much abject reality just like shoved
Sure.
in my face. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
No.
But that's where I think I can watch something really deep, and on the next like hour, I can watch Real Housewives because I need something mushy.
You mean that's
yeah,
not deep?
yeah. Well, it's
That's
so
not
like
deep.
so like for me,
Deep something.
Summer House is deep, okay?
my default is like, isn't there anything where like a giant robot is like punching a monster or something?
I think it's King Kong versus
Yeah.
something. Yeah, there's
already been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we went through a completely
Yes.
diverted path and everything else, but yeah.
As per usual. That's what makes it fun.
Yes, indeed. Well,
So-
welcome.
Welcome to
Yes.
the show. We're so happy to have you.
It's so fun.
It's the best. So if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
And I think we might have next week's guest in our studio audience right now.
I know. I'm kind of excited. Gonna be fun. Gonna be fun. What's everybody got coming up?
More of same.
Cool. Yeah. Same. I finally have
Well,
those.
hopefully the weather will like take a
Yeah.
knee and we can actually sell some houses.
Amen. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that.
Oh, you can sell houses. I did it in Snowmageddon. Okay, don't be a quitter.
True,
Yes.
true.
No,
Yeah.
but seriously, absolutely. And then working on my Christmas bod. I'm going to reframe that. It's no longer a
Bikini Christmas.
bikini Christmas.
So ready.
Yeah. It's really actually going to be like biker shorts and like a sports bra.
I like
not
it.
a bikini, you know. But we're going to do
enough.
it. Bikini Christmas.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yes.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Cool.
Have a great week.
Thank you. Thank you.